Sometimes when you're dedicated to looking for clues, you can end up seeing doubles, like the two green shirts, identical green shirts that Danny/Keith has in his room. Or the two brothers, Jules and his identical twin brother in the photograph. Or perhaps the twins that Grandma Chun is watching on her favorite telenovela. Or perhaps yet other twins. Let's solve Death and Other Details. Mid-season checkpoint. When a guest is murdered on a luxury ocean liner, Imogene Scott becomes the only suspect in an impossible crime. She didn't do it, so who did? We'll be looking at clues, suspects, red herrings, and kind of the big reveal that the show hasn't revealed yet about who killed Danny, aka Keith Trubitsky. Spoilers for the first 5 episodes of Death and Other Details. If you haven't seen those episodes, pause this video. Go blow off some steam. And then come back and watch the rest of this video. Use the timestamps below to jump to the topic or suspect you want to hear, and skip past stuff you don't want to hear. For our regular Clue Crew members, I apologize. I got really sick when this show began. In fact, I'm still not 100% recovered, but I got really sick, and so I couldn't do an episode-by-episode breakdown of all the clues. And let's give Death and Other Details credit. There are a lot of clues in this show. So we're just going to do a mid-season checkpoint. I'm not even going to be able to talk about all the suspects, because let's be honest, there's an ocean liner of suspects, but I do want to talk about a couple of the big mysteries and admittedly big reveals, so we could be spoiling things you haven't discovered yet in this video, because we did hear many members of the Clue Crew are watching this show and enjoying it. I'm not going to hit everything because you guys discover stuff I don't. Let's Solve is a series where we solve it together. Go down in the YouTube comments and let me know all the clues that you've caught. All right, a couple things first. Let's look at Danny, who was going by the name Keith Trubitsky on this cruise. When Imogene was sneaking in to smash the watch of Keith Trubitsky, there's a woman in the hall. Who do you think that is? Is it Chun's granddaughter, Eleanor? Is it Layla? Is it Teddy? Is it Teddy's sister, Winnie? Who do you think is this other person in the hallway? Now, of course, Winnie's supposed to be in the bar cart in the room, so you wouldn't think it's her? And Teddy's supposed to be doing S&M tricks with Llewellyn at this time, so it also shouldn't be Teddy. But who do you guys think this character in the hallway is? Now, Danny, Keith, was on this cruise because he wanted to get to the bottom of Kira Scott's murder. And before we get into some of the big reveals that are hiding out there, I think you're aware that there looked like what I would call a Brinks truck pulling away from the car as Imogene's mom, Kira Scott, goes boom. A couple things to note about Kira Scott. She called rich men jerks. Is that a sign of a relationship with Mr. Collier? Who is Imogene's father? Then one other specific thing we want to talk about Kira Scott is, people mention that Kira Scott was a great swimmer, but she got very sick on boats. Once again, when we get to the big reveals, we'll talk about that very closely. Now let's look at the suspects. Imogene. I don't think Imogene Scott is the killer in any way, but in a very odd twist, it seems like she left a one-night stand, Jules, in her bedroom to go smash this guy's watch. Huh? That is not normal behavior in any scenario. Hey, I just hooked up with this guy for the second night in a row, but he's sleeping in my cabin on this cruise. I'll leave because I really want to get revenge on this rude guy and smash his watch. Okay, sure. That's real human behavior. Doesn't it feel like maybe Imogene is still keeping a couple of secrets from us? Let's look at the Collier family. Certainly everything does revolve around them and their company, Collier Mills. Lawrence Collier, I gotta be honest, he's gonna die, right? He says the sentence, Imogene, you're like a daughter to us. Is she like a daughter to you, or is she your actual daughter? Her mom doesn't like rich people, rich men, you're a rich man. Now let's go to the CEO wife, Catherine Collier. A polo player was the first one to ask her to marry her. The people in the right age range, who's to say the Reverend, it could be him, he could have been a polo player. Maybe the lawyer, Llewellyn Mathers. Who's to say that Rufus wasn't the first person to ask her to marry him? While we're here with Catherine Collier, let's review a scene where Anna and her father were arguing about the finances of Collier Mills. Both seem to blame each other for the financial troubles Collier Mills is in. But is it possible that Catherine Collier, the mom, caused the financial troubles? We've seen she's been willing to fake her husband's signature on documents. Could she be the person who caused this trouble that leads them to need the Chun's money so bad? We've got the son Trip Collier, and Trip, of course, is because he's supposed to be the third. You wonder if that's true. Trip always eats pistachios. And it sure does look like there are a bunch of pistachios in Keith Trubitsky's room. There's the daughter, Imogene's best friend, Anna Collier. And Anna's got this thing where it's a love triangle. Her wife, Layla, hope I'm pronouncing that right, sometimes I think it's Leela, and of course, Eleanor Chun, her ex. It feels like if she cheated on her wife, that the show would be setting up Eleanor Chun as the end game, as she and Anna are going to get back together. But in this episode 5, Layla really acted like a hero. But can we trust her? Or is Layla the person in the hat in the hallway and she's still keeping secrets? Jumping to lawyer Llewellyn Mathers. He's talked a couple times to Imogene. Is he Imogene's father? The only thing that you might think about that is Imogene says every time with this guy, as if he's always trying something with her, trying to get close to her, try to talk to her about her mother. We know that Governor Alexander was told to, hey, be nice to Keith Trubitsky. Why? Who told her that? She claims it was from her fundraisers. Is it possible that Trip, who desperately wanted Keith's money, he told her that? There are other characters, for example, the Reverend, his son, other characters like members of the crew, but I'm only going to focus on a couple others. One is Sunil. If you look at Sunil's office, why was Keith Trubitsky, aka Danny, trying to break into it? The show is setting it up as if Keith wanted to see the books of the Collier Mills. But doesn't that seem like a misdirect? Like Keith was really trying to break into the office, and on one of the security cams he did, because Keith wanted to find out something about Sunil, the ship, who financed this ship. 2, on Jules, we mentioned Jules has a twin brother, and then behind the photo, we see a picture of a woman. There's an online thought that maybe this woman could also be seen in a magazine earlier in the show. Is this Jules' dead sister, and was she a fashion model? But it's time to get to the big thing. We've held off on it long enough. If you don't want to know the big thing, hop out now. Kira Scott is in a car talking with her daughter. Her daughter gets out of the car moments later blows up. Are we sure Kira Scott was in the car? Is it possible she got in that truck and escaped? Why? Well, look at this actress. She's the same actress playing Kira Scott who's playing Agent Hilda Erickson. And for those fans of Only Murders in the Building, this is the same actress, Linda Imond, who played Donna DeMeo in season 3. So why would you have the same actress playing Kira Scott, Imogene's mother, and Agent Hilda Erickson? Is it a twin scenario? Well, maybe, but isn't it possible that since we know that Kira Scott had trouble with seasickness on boats, and then later Agent Hilda is explaining, hey, I bought this seasickness device on the boat's gift shop to wear around my wrist so I don't get seasick. Boy, that's another big flashing light that, no, it's not a twin scenario. Kira Scott didn't die, and that she is now, who knows why, impersonating an Interpol agent. Certainly Rufus would be smart enough to know this, but there are a couple other questions. Imogene doesn't recognize her mother. Llewellyn, the lawyer who always talks about Imogene's mother, he had a very long scene with Agent Hild. He doesn't recognize her. He even talked about her mother's bone structure. So this show is swinging for the fences. Why is Kira Scott still alive and now an Interpol agent? Or are they trying to get us all to chase down a rabbit hole? What do you think? Is this the big twist? Is it possible that Kira Scott's the villain? She faked her death, never told her daughter she was still alive? Let us know. Go down in the comments. Let's hear it. What are your thoughts about how this whole thing is going to come together? I apologize, I just don't have the free time to cover this weekly like I thought I did, but I will try to do another check-in before the reveal in episode 10 of season 1. Death and Other Details, what do you think of it? What are your thoughts? Donna DeMeo, how could you?